Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Just make sure you keep yourself muted until you're ready to talk, okay?
All right, I'm trying to figure out how to mute. That just click on the microphone or what?
Are you dialed in on your phone or your computer?
On my computer.
Okay, then there should just be a mute button on your computer.
Okay, I'll find it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
Call recording is on.
chair for the Charter Club Committee. And I thank each and every one of you for volunteering to be on the Charter Club Committee. And I'd like to start this meeting with an introduction. So, Cheryl, if you would begin and introduce yourself, and we'll go around. Well, you don't have a mic, so let me do it.
I'm Abigail. I'll give you a mic. No, we're gonna have somebody cleaning in between. You can come here. It's coming now. I was just kidding. Yeah. I'm Cheryl Tyler. I volunteered. I really want to be part of Sun City West in the Charter Club.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Sorry,
Oh, sorry.
it's gonna make the meeting a little longer, but we'll be safe.
I'm Jenny Baker, new to the committee, been here 12 years in this area, and I felt it's time to get involved.
Thank you, Jenny.
I'm Marla Warner. I'm interested in the committee, and I'm here to do what I can do to help.
Thank you, Ann. Hi, Danielle Smith, and I've never volunteered for anything like this before. I think I accidentally did it. I don't know how I actually got on this list. Let me do my best. Thank you, Danielle.
I'm Claudia Burr. I'm the president of St. Lance Crackers. Worked with Donna on a couple of different things, so I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you, Claudia.
And Judy Thompson, I'm president of Cart Players of Central West. A little over 2 years. That's all I need.
Thank you, Steve.
I'm Karen Justice. I'm past president of Halliburton Patchers. I've been in Sun City West since it opened. My parents were one of the first people to move in. So in fact, I can tell you a really funny story very quickly. They were sitting at the pool at R.H. Johnson, and they moved in at age 55, and the man came up and said, "Can we take your picture? Do you mind if we use it?" My mother said no, and she ended up on the billboard on Bell Road. And then, they lived here till she passed away at age 92, and that billboard was down there for a lot of years, and she said, every time I went over that bridge, I closed my eyes because I didn't see how much me what I looked like back then.
Hello, James Riley, Activities Manager here at Sun City West, and I want to thank all of you for taking the time to volunteer and your commitment to the Charter Club community. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I've lived in Sun City West almost 17 years. I've been with the rec center 10, and I'm the senior office coordinator. Thank you for being part of this.
Good morning. I want to thank you too for your volunteering. I've only been a resident 6 weeks. So I kind of feel like the baby sitting here, but I worked for Sun City West for a year and a half, and I moved here 6 weeks ago. Thank you for volunteering, and I look forward to working with a lot of you.
My name is Lion Hathaway. I've been in Sun City West for about a year, and I'm supposed to be on the committee here to get involved and meet some more people.
Thank you, Lydia. And everyone is back there in the corner in those dark shaded sunglasses, that's our governing board president, George Kugan.
Thank you, Ms. Donna.
And over in the opposite,
We don't need a microphone.
over there in the opposite corner, that's Katie O'Grady. She's Information Services, and she's running our computer system today. Thank you. Alrighty, obviously we have a quorum. The only one missing is, Tom Jones, and he is having his board meeting for auto restoration. And also in that card table in the center is Daniel O'Connell. Dan, can you hear us? Katie will.
Can hear you. I'm gonna try to increase my volume here, but I'm sorry I can't be with you all today, but we've lived in Sun City West now on a snowbird basis for 16 years and on our third house, so I think we qualify. We'll just sit back and listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. First item is Charter Club Liaison. And everyone, you will refer to that attachment. At the top, it says Charter Club Liaison. And under it says knowledge of Charter Club's rules, regulations, and procedures. We are this year changing things up for the Charter Club Committee.
I've noticed that half the people in here have masks on and half don't. So it says that we're supposed
If we are 6 feet apart, as we have tried to set everybody, we're okay with the mask. Yes, Katie? Yes, thank you. It's hard to talk with the mask on. And, okay, so as I was saying, the Charter Club Committee this year is going to be separated into 4 special key areas. And those areas will be conflict resolution, RR&Ps/bylaws, internet forms, and membership and club participation. And I'd like to refer to the welcome letter that I sent out to everyone, giving you a little bit of information about each of those groups and asking you to consider areas that you think you may want to be part of. I'd like to first talk about conflict resolution. And under that, it says internal club turmoil. And unfortunately, sometimes there are charter clubs that have internal turmoil, and they come to the rec center looking for help and resolution. And how it's going to work this year is the association is hoping that we, the Charter Club Committee, can work with clubs who are having that situation and help to resolve it before it really develops into anything. And know that those situations will be referred by Riley to the Charter Club Committee through me. Our responsibility will be fact-finding and to offer assistance advice as far as how things should be handled or if there is a violation, that type of thing. Specifically, we are working on defining better disciplinary actions, steps that club, when there is a violation within that club, specifically how it's handled. For example, number 1, you would have a verbal conversation with that individual. If you, the next step, are written, the next may be suspension, and so on. And so, in your packet, I'm going to move into the next item on the agenda, and that's disciplinary action. And it starts off at the top, member conduct. And this was given to you for information. This is what, Katie, can you put up on the screen the member conduct disciplinary form? Everyone can refer to it. This is under the 2.02. 2.02. And, thank you. everyone see it on the screen, and then you'll know where to find that in your packet. And again, let me just say that this is information that we are sharing with you, and it has been put together by the association, Riley, Dory, Bill, and I, and we are hoping to be able to move this forward to the governing board workshop and be able to have this so that this will be incorporated into the RRP. You will notice that in front of you, you have that black or that purple notebook. And in that notebook are your hard copies of the current RRP. And you will notice in there on the first, I don't have my purple book, on the first enclosure, you will see in the packet there. This is your emergency action plan and evacuation procedure that has been incorporated into the RRP. And again, this is in addition due to our current pandemic situation. And then also in the very back, you will see enclosed are the incident and action paperwork that if a club has an incident or an accident, that is the form that needs to be filled out. So you now have your official hard copy, and this disciplinary action that is up there on the screen is, again, information for you to know that that is what we hope to be able to incorporate into those bylaws that you, or not bylaws, the RRPs that you are looking at. Are there any questions on what I just said? All right, I'd like to discuss a couple other things moving into, since we are in 2.02 rules, regulations, and procedures. Some other things that the association would like for us to address besides the disciplinary actions are specifically capital projects. So everyone knows that when a club wants a capital project, that how much should a club be responsible for? How much should the association be responsible for? What we need guidelines. We need a formula that establishes how we obtain capital projects. And so we as a committee will be looking at that, looking at a formula that's good for everybody. How it addresses need versus want, how it addresses like for like, how we figure out what is the actual participation level, what is the membership of a club, uniformity, multi-use, safety. And so as a committee, we will be looking at that, trying to put together a formula to present, working together with the association, and hopefully incorporate moving forward on capital projects where we don't have so much turmoil in making those decisions. Also, another area that needs to be addressed, which is also part of the capital project, is that participation with membership. And I'll move on to that when we get to the membership and participation. But moving on to 2.03, Internet Informed. Katie's going to talk to us about virtual meetings. The pandemic has brought about clubs being able to do virtual meetings, and it's kind of worked out really well. And so what we want to be able to do is to incorporate that within the RRP. And obviously, to do that, there needs to be changes made within those RRPs. And this is one of the number one things that the committee needs to address about virtual meetings and allowing clubs to be able to do this. And how do they do that? Katie, would you share with us about conducting the virtual meeting?
Can you guys hear me without the mic?
Yes.
Okay, so, the rec center has a pretty small IT staff, and we have supported virtual meetings for the governing board and the official standing committees, and then, of course, staff meetings. But because we have over 100 chartered clubs, if all of those chartered clubs want to start getting into the virtual meeting business, I just simply don't have the staff to support that. So I asked Donna to kind of have you guys consider this question today. Is there a need for the chartered clubs themselves to have virtual meetings? Do you have to adjust the RRPs, of course, to allow that? And what kind of support can we as staff provide without it taking up a ton of man hours? So to consider that, I wanted to just talk to you about some of the considerations you guys would need to think about before we would propose a solution for all 100 chartered clubs. So how many of you have participated in a virtual meeting yourself on the computer end?
Not here, but
Okay, maybe 50%? So there's a lot of different variables that come into play when you're doing virtual meetings, and we want to talk about some of those. You know, your users are all different, and their home settings are all different. The equipment they have, the Wi-Fi support that they have are all different at home. So trying to get something that you may love and think is the end-all be-all solution may not work for someone who's on a Mac or who only has a smartphone. So those are one consideration. Sustainability, you know, if you sign up for an account or you've got a personal Zoom account and you're the president and this is great, let's do it, and next year there's a new president, how does that roll over to the next year and the next charter club leadership proposing those same meetings? And then finally, safety. Here at the rec centers, we use Join Me, which is what we're using today, and we're streaming our Join Me meeting to YouTube, and the public's participating in that fashion. But I know a lot of charter clubs are already using Zoom. Zoom is great. It's got a lot of assets, but it's not the right fit for the association. I'm going to talk a little bit about why that is in a second. All right, so again, we talked about the different kinds of PCs and what people have at home. Considerations, you know, especially if you're participating in a meeting, do you have a mic on your computer? You know, if you're on a laptop or a smartphone, sure, you got a mic built in and a video camera. But if you're on a PC, those don't necessarily come with built-in ones. Usually they don't, and so you're dialed in and they can't speak and they can't hear you, and you don't realize that you don't even have a mic on your computer. So all those different things are considerations. Some of the different options require the users to download an executable onto the computer. Some people are not comfortable with that. A lot of them now offer web-based versions, so you go into your browser and log in that way. More people are more comfortable with that. And then, of course, the Wi-Fi. You know, if it's a meeting where the entire membership has to participate and you're only doing it virtually, are you handicapping someone that doesn't have a computer or doesn't have Wi-Fi and can't participate in this session? Other considerations, like I said, does everyone have to be able to attend? Is your chair of the meeting going to be able to handle all the different aspects of running the virtual? It's one thing to participate, but to manage, you know, kind of what I'm doing over here. That can be a lot, especially if you're taking public input at the same time. So, you know, what is your user base? Is there a long distance number that's required? Those kind of things. But one of the biggest ones is background noise and training people to mute themselves and not have everyone trying to talk at once. That's an ongoing challenge for all of us. So it sounds great to have virtual meetings, a lot of assets about it, but it can have some definite challenges. So go in eyes wide open. Like I said earlier, don't rush out and buy a solution or pay a monthly fee for something that works for you. If you're going off the board in 2 months and someone new is coming in and everything's under your account. So all of those things need to be thought through. Safety is a big one I want to talk about. So the association does not use Zoom. Don't allow it on any of our network computers. there are some vulnerabilities. They're making improvements, it's getting better, but there's been several accounts of people hacking into school board meetings or city council meetings, putting up pornography or just stealing information off of it. So for us, it's not a good fit. For the charter clubs, though, if you're not sharing state secrets or, top secret information, you have a small group and it's protected by a code that only your members know, it's going to be just fine. And I know a lot of people do use Zoom. It works great for that. Not for us at our level. That's one consideration. A lot of people like the different free options, but you're going to get what you pay for on it. The pros about Zoom, you can have up to 100 people participate, which is great before you have to pay a dime. So if it's something you want to try and think, yeah, this might work, give it a shot, see how it works, and if it is, you can stay with the free option, or you can bump up to a paid option. Zoom will only give you a 40-minute meeting. After that, they cut you off. Otherwise, you have to start paying for that. It is very easy for people to use. It's a great intro-level meeting system. It syncs with people's Google calendars, so if you put those invites in and they have email or something like that, they can get that logged in real quick. It has a chat feature or a raise your hand feature, so you can mute and unmute the person that's trying to speak. That's going to be more important than you might realize if you have a lot of participants. Other cons we kind of talked about, it's not totally encrypted and hackers can get into it. I don't think at the club level that's going to be a huge consideration. Probably don't have to remind you, but never give out personal information. Never give out even your rec card number. Don't post anything on your website that's personal as your email, because people are always looking to take advantage. What we're using today is Join Me. It does have a free trial. I like it as a program. It's pretty flexible, and it's a free, portable, first and program, but it has some shortcomings. It doesn't have that raise your hand feature. It has a chat feature, so if everyone knows how to chat and you say, hey, I want to say something, and the moderator knows how to use that, it works well. I can tell by the looks though, some of you are getting a little lost even as I talk. So that's the main point, is your moderator needs to be able to use tools. Just so someone can call in and log in and participate doesn't mean the meeting's going to go real smooth if the person on my end of it kind of confused on the different parts. So there's just kind of the cost of Join Me. It can get quite expensive. So I guess what I wanted to do today was get some feedback from you guys, or you have a conversation on, is there a need to provide some kind of recommended software to the charter clubs? Is there a need for that to be a single piece of software, or let the charter clubs decide what works for themselves? What works for, the Big Boomers Club with younger users might not work for one of our small needlecraft groups that may not have everybody have to be home. And then thirdly, if you do want a uniform solution, is it something that the rec centers is going to support financially, and to what degree with personnel? I can guarantee you we cannot support running these and having all these meetings, or having me in that list for all the charter clubs. So I was hoping you guys could have a discussion about that, and then provide me with some feedback if I can provide a recommended solution to the charter club.
Thank you, Katie. Pardon?
Is she wanting an answer today, or what is the deadline?
Okay, this whole meeting is for discussion, to talk about the issues that we will be dealing with. And so Katie has given us information for us to consider about the virtual meetings. And what I would like to do today is, for this particular subject, virtual meetings, I'd like to have a couple people be assigned to think about this, put together questions, thoughts, so that at our next official meeting, we can have a discussion and take a consensus vote to move forward in whatever direction the committee decides. So, yes.
Yeah, we have had Zoom for 3 board meetings already. Okay, that's how we've been discussing. And through the doing this, it's worked really, really well. But things have come up, some questions have come up. Our meetings, obviously, yeah. So there's the price escalation of $14.99. I can't remember if that's quarterly, but, that we're wondering about. And number two, the question is how we have to have some kind of a meeting at the end of the year, vote next year. So the question is whether we have to have a meeting for that, or whether we can just email voting, like we just did past bylaws. And that would make a difference too, is how we follow full members. So if we have to have a meeting, then we're going to have to figure out if we're going to vote by email. And but it's worked really, really well for a board.
And I think that those questions that you brought up, that's what we need staff input on, and having that discussion at our next meeting. So, Judy, because you've had experience with this, I can think that I could
Yes, I actually would like to do that.
for you. And do I have someone else that would? Okay. And Cindy would like to. So if the two of you would like to have that assignment and get together, maybe you could show, how that works. And
I teach online classes at ASU, and use Zoom all the time.
Okay.
The biggest problem with Zoom, and I've never been, Katie, cut off in a meeting. It's interesting, they say 40 minutes. Have you ever been physically cut off in a Zoom meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know, maybe it's because we're nonprofits or something. I've been in nonprofits. Well, you're a nonprofit.
I would like to join that group. I use Zoom every day in a consulting business. I use it from a user perspective, and using up to 100 people or share on screen. I can use it from my end in the business.
okay, I would like to only have two people because we do have a lot of. I'm planning on having a lot of assignments.
That's fine. I just offer that.
If we could just have Tina and Judy with the virtual, and in virtual meetings, part of our responsibility will be to help clubs be able to, if indeed we decide that this is something that will be offered for clubs, and they will want to learn how to do that, it will fall upon us to help them to be able to do that. So,
Can I ask a question just for clarification? Are you sort of putting people on these committees? On the page?
I have just made one assignment for
Okay,
virtual
so
meetings.
I would like to defer to Luann or Leanne, I can't see that.
Liaison.
Retirement committee. Only because I was really kind of interested in conflict resolution. I put a course on that. So.
Okay, well, Liaison, do you want to work with Judy, and then I will change that?
If that works for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
With the Zoom, with the fact, like in our club, Mulberry Package, we've got a wide range of age groups and computer literacy things. If we start holding on Zoom, that conflicts with the rules which everybody should have equal access to. We're shutting, we've got some that can't keep on email. But I mean, right now, we're about 50. I guess we have general membership. Half the time, they can't run the slides on the wall. So, I just wonder if they were going to got a large percentage of clubs that really has no way of accessing that. Are we in violation?
Well, just speaking from what my opinion would be, I think that when we talk about doing virtual meetings and incorporating it within the RRPs, the decision would it be a mandatory or would it be an option?
Yeah.
And then that burden would fall on the club.
Right.
You as the club board
Yeah.
would have to to make a decision with your membership if indeed you want to do that. So that's a little farther down the line. But then,
One of the things we talked about was, going to places where it was at the time. How many clubs are over 100? Do you have a list of every single club that we put on the top of your board?
okay, moving on to, Katie, would you please put up the appendix?
Yeah, I was gonna walk you through how to access it on the website, if that's okay.
Okay, yes, thank you.
So, yeah, you're all familiar hopefully with this page, scwclubs.com. You go under documents. It'll bring you to pretty much anything you might need, as a club officer. We did change some of these. The RMPs are all consolidated over here on the left, rather than having the individual ones broken down, so hopefully that makes it easier for you to print your own copy at home. And of course, on the right is all the CRs broken down. You can simply go to the index, it'll bring up the entire form. If it's blue with an underline, that's a hot link. You can click on it, and it will bring up that form in a fillable manner, where you can fill it out, print it out, and submit it. Some of them have where you have to download it in a zip file. So if you try to do that and wonder why it's a zip file, it's because a lot of people's browsers automatically open the PDF in the browser rather than Adobe Reader, and it makes it harder to fill out and manipulate and save. So if it works as a zip file, you can click on it. It downloads the zip file in the bottom left, if you saw that. And then you can open it, and it does default then to Adobe Reader. You can fill it out, you can save it to your desktop, all those different things. I can go into more detail, but I don't want to bore you. That's pretty much how that form works. And it's, like I said, hot links on there, so if you just want to bookmark this page and save it, and then you need a certain CR form, open the index or the appendix, click on it, fill out your form, it tells you what to do with it, when it's due, and all that good stuff. Any questions, I'd be happy to go into more detail.
Thank you, Katie. This form is new again this year. We have this is exciting for the new change because it specifically tells clubs what that form is used for under the description, when you would use this form. And so everyone, you should have a copy of this in your packet. It makes it easy for easy reference when a club wants to know what form do I have to use in order to ask for a repair or I need a schedule change. Okay, and what I'm talking about is in your packet. It's in the packet that you downloaded off of the agenda. Okay? And then, Katie, would you please put up on the screen the CR13 prerequisite you have? And this, again, is for information purposes. A CR13 is the form that clubs use for capital project requests. And along with updating our capital projects and establishing a formula, this form, this form was added on top of your purple notebook. You did not download this off of the agenda. This was something that I added on top of your purple RRMP there. And this form was generated for clubs to fill out when they're asking for a capital project that's over $5,000. And it addresses some of the issues that need to be addressed when considering a capital project. For example, your membership history. What's your average participation? What's your number one obstacle in making this request? Finance. And it tells the steps necessary. And again, this is shared with you for information purposes, and this is part of what operations would like to see to help with capital projects. So since we're talking about capital projects, this is another assignment. And I would like to have a couple individuals who have dealt with maybe trying to get a club capital project accomplished. Yes, Mr. President.
Donna, just to this point, so the committee is aware of why this capital project thing is very important. What has happened is we have had certain clubs or clubs out there who their board has decided to want to engage in a capital project without the affirmative vote of their membership. And they are bypassing the members of that club when this comes down to being. They would say, well, three of us decided we want to put this capital project together. They go down to our staff. They say, we want to do this. Staff's taking the time to go out and get drawings, looking for permits, looking for things, and spending an immense amount of time and effort and dollars that they are paid for before the club membership votes in the affirmative. So the most important thing on this is to make sure that when we look at our capital projects, the number one thing happens before they bring it to anybody is the club membership votes in the affirmative. That's the most important thing that, we want to make sure that you guys understand why that's happening, because we've had it come up in the past. There are clubs who just decide to go off the rails on this way and that way. So it's the way to make sure the club members are represented before you go into a project. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, I'm some of those, so I have a lot of experience with all of it.
That
Front
would be
end,
wonderful.
back end, and what goes on after. Probably.
I appreciate that. Do I have someone else that would like to work with Claudia on that? Again, capital project really takes in a lot of different aspects in order to have capital projects be accomplished. And it takes a long time. And part of the big concern is making this formula so that it applies to all clubs. The club who only has 100 members, the same as the club who has 1,000 members. If we, how do we do that? How do we come up with a formula that is fair and just for all and allows for everybody to satisfy their needs? So, please. Thank you, Otto. So, Otto and Claudia. Thank you very much.
I have a question, and to your point, I see on this form where there's a slot that says club membership, date of vote, and outcome. Is it on here that I missed?
This is page 1. There is, see, this is the prerequisite to CR 13. It's a 2-page form. And the CR 13, Katie, can you click on this here? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I don't have the actual CR 13.
It's in the purple thing, okay?
Yeah. It is, the CR 13 is asking for whatever your request, maybe you want new cabinets or.
Right.
And this form is page 2, and you've only filled out if your request is going to be over $5,000.
And you've got the membership.
So that is part of, on the CR 13 form.
Well, membership approval request is on your, they're in order of numbering. You get to 13, mark that.
It's right after the meeting.
Got it, I got it. I just was wondering, because without that, it feels like that's been. And it's an attached copy of minutes. Great. Sorry, new clarification.
Okay, so I have a third issue that I need a couple of individuals on with for the RRMP, and that is financial. And what we have here is when a club goes ahead and gets approval, and the rec center gives them a loan. So, you know, your project's gonna be $500,000, and the rec center, agrees to give you a loan to be able to do that project. There is nothing in the RRMPs that addresses issues like, what if a club doesn't pay back that loan? There's nothing in the RRPs that addresses that. Should loans be given interest-free, even though the rec center, say, $500,000 they spend for capital projects, that $500,000, we lose that interest off of that. So should we really be giving that money interest-free? Those are issues that need to be addressed again in the RRPs.
I think that's definitely a part of it. I don't really separate that.
Do you think that the loan finance to be incorporated into the capital?
Because the membership, when they say we want to go forward with the project, there's some investment the membership has to make. It's an equally important part of it.
All right, then I will hand that over to you, Claudia, you and Otto on the finance and for capital projects. Thank you. Okay, so everything that I'm talking about on these assignments, we will be at our next meeting on September 8th. We will have a report on those issues, on the virtual meetings, on the finance and capital projects, so that we can begin to move forward in making decisions to forward recommendations. All right, moving on to 2.04, membership and participation. This is big. This is in the RRPs, there specifically states that a social club has to have 75 members to be a social club. If they are a craft club, they have to have 50 members. And it also states that that membership needs to stay not below 80%. And so that would be 60 for a social and 50 for a craft. So that's all basically the RRP states. But what happens when the club's membership falls below that? It doesn't address that issue. What is the decision? When should a club lose its charter? We don't have anything in the RRPs that addresses that. We need to address that. And for example, a big concern is participation. If your club maybe is 100 with your membership, but every time you have an activity, there's only 10 people there, and you're in a room that accommodates 50 people, and there's another club that needs a room, but we don't have a room available. You know, these are real questions that need to be addressed in the RRP. And so I need a couple people that would like to work on that issue as well. You know, one of the bills over there is the person that handles the figures for membership and participation. And so think about this situation. So you have a club, and part of the responsibility of a club is to fill out a CR4. And a CR4 is your club participation. And so for the month of, say, January, your club says, oh, you know, we average 500 members for the month of January. But you have the monitor, who is an association employee, who goes in and checks rooms where clubs have activities, and they document the number of people that are in that room. And so the monitor says, I don't see that there were that many people. There was only 100 people there. Well, how do we handle that? How do we do that? The monitor says we've got 100 people using that room for a month, but the club says we have 500 people using that room. And we have inconsistencies with what the club reports and what the association says. And so those numbers that are submitted, we need to address that situation as far as what number should we make our determination on for facility usage and space allocation.
Madam Chair, yeah, it is interesting. Participation report will record everyone who comes in, no matter how long they stay. So if a person comes in every hour and they see X number of people, but they don't know exactly who those people are. It could be 5 different people every hour, which is 40 people during the day, okay, which inflates the number, and it is actually reflective of how many people actually. So I think it's inherently flawed because the person who comes in, it's not the same person every day that comes in and checks.
Right. And again, it can be a situation to where, you know, we have 6 people on that side and 6 people on this side, and actually in the room, you know, I'm just saying, for example, in the room, you 6 people are here for an hour and you leave, and these 6 people come in, and there's still only 6 people in there, but really 12 people have really used that facility. And so how do we address that? When the reality of it is, yes, 12 people have used that room, but that room only needed to be the size to accommodate 6 people. So is it a situation where we should be having reservations for clubs, to where all clubs use reservation and it accommodates whatever, you know, I don't know. I don't have the answer. But again, I'm saying that this is indeed an issue for the Charter Club Committee to take under advisement and think about it. And, you know, because unfortunately, people become unhappy when, you know, they're, wait, that's not right. We have to,
Madam
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard
I
time
said,
hearing.
maybe we need to decide a definition for participation. Because if you're just coming into the club to get a supply, to do that, and then you swipe, now you're in, right? But you really didn't use the facility. So it seems like from what you're saying, we need to define what does that mean when you participate? Does that mean you came and you actually did something, that would require that? And again, that becomes a difficult thing to measure, but maybe we need to define what participation is rather than walking in and out to get something or whatever, and now your numbers are up here.
And again, we are having discussion, and I would like a couple individuals who would like to take that under advisement, think about it, and come up with some, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Okay, Danielle would like to work on that, and who would like to? Okay, Cheryl. Thank you, Cheryl. And Danielle.
I have a question.
Yes, Claudia.
On these columns, your virtual meetings are coming up a couple of times. And one of the platforms is the actual technology and the other is meeting.
Yes, under like the RRPs and bylaws, virtual meetings, that would be the update of the RRPs to incorporate virtual meetings. So, like for example, if you were to incorporate virtual meetings in the RRPs, it would be important to read through the RRPs and find out all the different locations that needed to address. And then where it is under Internet Informed, that's where there's a clause that says, how do I do that? Can I do that? And then a person on our committee would have the experience to be able to go to the club, work with them, help them to be able to do that. Mr. President.
Chairman, I think this is a great idea. When you talked about having clubs and people representing for membership, one of the things with that 80% rule that we haven't looked at over many years is that 80% rule should be a red flag for us to help them bring their membership up, not that they just consider that going on there. And the only thing I would recommend, Madam Chairman, is I think one of the staff people should be part of that membership group too, because they have the best handle on getting that information ASAP. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And if you download it, this is download on the form where it says changes in number of club names, and then it gives the number for 2018, and then the member number for 2019, and then it lists loss and gain. Katie has it up there on the screen for you. And so it will be the association who, and specifically Phil, who will advise us of clubs that we may need to help, and clubs to where their membership is obviously declining, so that we can work with that club, help them. Either do they really think that they can grow? Do they see that maybe they're failing? And the bottom line being, have we incorporated in the RRPs the decision that once the club, say, falls below 80%, and you give them, say, 18-month period of time, they lose their charter. It just, that's what it says in the RRPs. But again, that's something that we as a committee need to have discussion on and decide if that's the recommendation we would like to move forward.
And any special consideration made on the so far? Went below the 80%. Do they have have some sort of special agreement. You need to,
Right, well, in the past, what has happened is some clubs have joined. For example, I can dance sensations, you know, they have Tai Chi and they have hula and they have, I don't know, all the different branches, but each area has a very small group of people. And so they created one club. Well, that kind of falls in that area where, yes, they combine to where their membership now meets the criteria. However, when they're having their activities, say hula one time, Tai Chi another time, there's only a half a dozen individuals in that room. So there's different aspects of that whole situation.
and it's seasonal. So you got people that participate in certain months of the year, it's only a quarter of the year. So what do you do? 5%?
Right, right. Again, there's a lot to think about, a lot that needs to be discussed, and when you bring up an issue, are we comfortable with that decision based on that?
Also, I think you need to consider one size doesn't fit all. For example, men's letters are down quite a bit, but they're really not sitting in somewhere spaces. So I think some of the type of club or what space they're occupying factors there are, it addresses that, you know, whatever.
Right, exactly. And again, each of these points that you address, we need to write them down and make sure that when a recommendation is made, that you have considered each of those different concerns. And, you know, not all concerns may have a solution that makes everybody happy. And unfortunately, you know, that's just the way that it is. We have to go with what is best for the majority. And
My question is the number 75. Has that written in stone, or is that something that
That
ever
is-
needs can be addressed, or it's written in?
that number is the current number in the RRMP.
Okay.
And, again, if you are assigned with that task and, you feel that that should be something that should be discussed, then, because, those numbers were discussed at last year's meeting, and just for information purposes, the committee felt that those numbers did not need to change.
Okay.
But, all righty. Any other comments? So, Danielle and Cheryl will gather our membership
And
pardon?
yeah,
Pardon?
Cheryl.
Right, Cheryl and Danielle.
Okay.
Okay. Did I have that right? All right. Let me see where we are here. Exit survey. You should have downloaded that, and, Bill, brought this to my attention, and, a little bit of discussion on the exit survey. Clubs really should be concerned with if their membership is dropping, why is it dropping? You know, sometimes, you'll hear people, they didn't like how they were treated, or, you know, it was cliquish, or maybe it's just strictly health, or maybe they found another interest. But, if a club is declining strictly because the interest is not there, then that's something, again, that a club should really say, well, maybe it is time for the club to no longer exist. Or if indeed it is a situation where members are leaving because they don't feel welcome, then they need to address that.
I remember one exit, big laugh. And that was what helped us, justice,
Your
expanded
capital.
faith, dealing with that very problem. It's our number one reason.
Well, and again, I don't know that there are very many clubs that do this, that they care about, if their membership drops or somebody leaves. Do they even care? But maybe they really should care.
Well, every year, our group, they talk to everyone who's leaving and they talk to them.
And is that something that you have in your club bylaws, is it just something that you as a board ask?
I think we have it in our procedure for
And again, this is something that we as a committee can talk about and see if indeed we would like to move that forward. Any other discussion? Sure. Oh, did everybody see you have a little badge that says Charter Club Liaison? And I would like to recommend that you all wear that when you are in any club activity. And because I personally would like to see that clubs know about us, that they use us, that they come to us, and if they have a question about anything, that if we don't know, we say, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. And that's important because, again, Liaison, we are here to help clubs and the association. We're family, and we need to work together and support each other. So, you also, with your badge, you have my business card for you to be able to call me, and you have Riley's business card there. I'd like to also say that Phil does tours, and I don't know how many of our committee have done the actual tours. Anybody? Okay, they are awesome, and I have been here over 11 years now, and last year was the first time that I did tours, and I was blown away, and I really felt bad that I hadn't done it before then, because it really was so incredible. And I would like to ask everybody to please take the time to go on a tour with Bill. He does a great job, and you will just be shocked at how much information you will learn that you did not know. So I really have things to do.
And I want to add one thing to that. I did it because I was, and I agree everybody, but I think, I don't know how much we advertise that, but that really, for all these clubs here and everybody wanting to, this is a wonderful way for residents and about what's available. Lots of questions and people in the class, and I don't know how much advertising is done for that, but like that would help this committee out a little here in terms of people are interested.
Yeah, and then, like newcomers, there's going to be a change in how they do newcomers. Newcomers has been a situation where, only certain clubs could come at, maybe the spring and then at the fall. And so it required going twice. If you wanted to see a specific club, maybe they weren't there that time, they were going to be there the next time. And so there's going to be a change to where the newcomers now will incorporate all the clubs. And there will just be 2 newcomers per year. Is that correct? Yeah, and so that again is a good improvement. And so you won't have to go to 2, you can go to 1 and see everybody. Or, again, the club may make decisions not come because they think they're too big. But whatever, may not be that situation. All right. I would like for Riley now to talk about COVID and you can download this information. This information was given to you today, and you have 2 things there. You have Arizona emergency response to the COVID-19 outbreak, and Riley was also kind to give you the list. This is the blue list that tells you specifically the clubs that are currently open and the clubs that are currently closed, and if possibly there's a to be determined date. So Riley,
Before you do that, we're finishing up with the committees. 1 and 2 people on each page. We don't have anybody.
I don't have anyone for what?
Conflict resolution. 1 person.
Well, let me just say that right now I don't have any individuals to work on a conflict within a club, but I will take.
Funny, it volunteered me.
I will take. I will take Jenny and some. Pardon?
Karen.
Karen. Okay. Or conflict. Thank you, Gloria. We had so much to talk about today. Okay, Riley, you would like to
Sure.
let me,
I don't think I need a mic. Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Get over on that side of the room?
Sure.
Okay, great. I want to make 1 correction on this blue sheet. Right away, it was a change that we just had happen, and that would be dance sensation. It says, open for activity. They are now officially closed, to be determined. That's the only change that's on there. Unfortunately, we are all dealing with this coronavirus outbreak, and initially what I'd like you to do is make sure that you sign up for e-news and become very familiar with the website, because there is a COVID section on there. Katie and her team have done a fantastic job. All the news press releases and updates as far as COVID are on there. All the links that you need to stay informed as to what's happening. There's also the Arizona emergency response to COVID-19 goes into details as to opening gyms and theaters. Everybody wants the gyms to be back open. People would like to get into the theater to do their thing. There are protocols that we have to follow before we can do that type of thing, and metrics have to align, if you will, as far as public health. So you might get a lot of questions from individuals that are in clubs that want to be open, but we can't do it at this time. Really all I have, because go to the website, there's a plethora of information out there that Katie has put together for your education on that.
Thank you, Riley. And again, I think it's important that we as liaisons have total comprehension of what the guidelines are, so that when clubs come and complain and, don't understand why we're not doing what we're doing, that we are able to explain that, you know, the association isn't doing these things because they want to do them. These things are happening because they are being told that's what needs to be done. And they have a responsibility to protect us. And I think they're doing a great job, and we need to support them and help to explain it. All right. A couple things that I would like to end with. Reply all. Because of open meetings law, when we have conversation as a committee, like if I send out an email and I'm asking for a response, please don't ever reply all. Only reply to me or the individual that is asking the question. That's very important. Next, I would like to encourage everyone, I'd like to just confirm Sun City West, that's spelled out.com. Click on news, book, watch, pay attention to the general manager's weekly report. That weekly report gives us capital update information, what's happening within our community. Everybody gives a report, whether it's golf, whether it's events, and that keeps us abreast of what's going on in the community, and thereby we're able to give that information to clubs. Again, scwclubs.com, that's where you're going to go when you want to see the RRPs or you want to access any of the forms that are on there. That's, if you want to find out information about a club, who's so-and-so with what club. I'd like to verify that everyone has downloaded the schedule that you got from Karen for all of the committee meetings and have that all on your calendar so that you'll be available for those meetings. I have also in your stack of paperwork, not that you downloaded it, but that you had here, was I gave you a sheet that gave you everybody's email address that's on the committee. I didn't know if that would be helpful for you, but the people who have been assigned tasks and they want to see each other and exchange phone numbers. Any other questions? Yes.
So my email, I'm the first one on the list, is Baker Swim, SWIM, not in.
Oh.
I bet your brains would have filled it in an M anyway, but if that's what we do.
Thank you.
It could be why I don't answer things. That's my excuse, I'm sticking to it.
All right. And the other thing that I did not talk about and is the charter club flow chart. Everybody downloaded the flow chart, and then when you got here, there was page 1. I would like for you to replace the one that you downloaded with the page 1 that I gave you when you came here. And the reason for that is because, Gary Cohen had to withdraw, and so I retyped the front page. So, I apologize, I didn't talk about this sooner, but if everybody would look at the flow chart. Everybody got the flow chart? Again, you'll see the arrows that go down, and we are hoping that charter clubs will first go to liaison for their specific areas, and you'll see all of us are on there, the charter club liaison. And when the liaison doesn't know the answer, that, for example, you should be coming to me, and I should know the answer. Or if I don't, then I'll go to Bill, Dory, or Ryan and get the answer. And then Riley is really the big man in charge for all charter clubs. And so he and I meet weekly, Wednesday morning, and we talk about clubs. Riley shares what he's heard from clubs, and I share what I've heard from clubs. And together, we will then move to you guys and ask for your help for whatever
You will now be placed into the conference. This call is being recorded.
It makes the best sense for the association and for the people of the village. Thank you.
So Donna, for time management, it would make sense for you to send this, because we have two members who are actively here today, to all of us, a short description that this has been worked on for a number of months by a number of staff. Do you have any comments, all of that, and send those comments, if Karen's okay with that?
Right, yeah, that's why I asked about getting one, because if we have a space to start, it makes a lot more sense than trying to reinvent the wheel.
So, would that be something you could?
Yeah, I will send out the redlining, and you already have in your packet, what you have in your packet is what staff and myself feel is good for the RRP. And what we need is for you, the charter subcommittee, to say yes or no as far as you agree.
And the meeting is on the 8th, so if we could, Karen and I could have the comments to us, maybe today's Monday, by next Monday, that would be extremely helpful. That's a week.
24th, yeah.
Thank you. That's 24th.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks. I thought I signed up for committee, I didn't have to do anything, and then you opened Word.
Well,
All right, so the redlining that I will be sending you, again, I will explain what the red is, what the black is, and what the strike out is. All right. I'm ready to adjourn. Any other questions? Daniel O'Connell. Dan? Do you remember? And,
Yeah, I'm here.
oh, good. Were you able to hear and understand everything?
For the most part, I'm gonna pick up an external speaker for my computer, but yeah, well-run meeting, and I hope to be able to participate on a face-to-face as soon as possible. So thank you for allowing me to join in this fashion.
Thank you, Dan. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Call recording is off.